Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Alexander here, and welcome to a quick little update that I just wanted to drop for everybody just to go over a couple different things that we've been seeing with a lot of new clients being onboarded in a way that we've kind of shaped up a little bit of step one in onboarding, which I've taken over as. So let's hop right into it. So, moving forward, if you don't already know, I'm going to be handling all of our fulfillment. So, guys, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me and let me know, and we will promptly make those adjustments. And this is on all levels. So, with that point aside, I wanted to talk about something very specific, which is something that we've dialed in always since the beginning, which is understanding your cold traffic offer. Now, the way that I've gone about this, and I'll be completely upfront, is that, of course, as we come into working together, it is all about how we can implement our system into your agency and or business without, having to change up everything, right? One of the biggest things that I have seen a real difference maker being why I can easily get 60 meetings and 80 meetings a month, where compared to some other clients, not on that level. But I want you to be on that level, right? So what is the main difference makers there? I've been going through with a ton of new clients and adopting this new strategy, which is really just defining a cold traffic offer. Now, this is once again something that we've always talked about since the beginning, but I don't think we've dialed it into the fullest of our potential. So, what I'm saying specifically is what we're going to be going over and what I'm going to give you guys is just like miniature homework. If you could fill this out whenever possible, that would be a great help to me. And of course, I'm on your side and I want to make this as successful as possible. And I think this is a very key aspect because a lot of people don't have this dialed in. And I'm not just talking about you or clients, I'm just saying agencies in general. So let's talk about this. The biggest thing that I want to go over specifically is going to be about how is your outcome completely obvious? Now, if you don't already understand what the concept of traffic offer, it's this. A cold traffic friendly offer is when in a cold outreach environment or not even cold email in general. I'm talking about all types of marketing. This is ads, this is email, this is LinkedIn, this is DMs, whichever scenario and channel you're using, this is universally to be used around. And it's the understanding of what is a low friction proposition rate that it is designed to initiate a conversation with someone who has zero prior awareness of your brand. Now, this is very important because cold email not only increases your brand awareness, but you basically pay for significantly low margins on impressions, right? So for those of you who run ads, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have never ran ads before, then you might not 100% know, but a lot of people might run these impression campaigns, which like for example, I do on social media to just go ahead and raise awareness of who we are and what we do. Now I'll give you some great examples. How this happened to me was I've had some people cold email me for about stuff that I had no interest in needing, okay? But then 6 to 8 months later, when I did need those things, who did I go to? I went to those emails. So just like that factor, this is exactly how we want to come into play. So the cold traffic friendly offer should work essentially in this fashion. So what is happening right now is that inside of cold outreach, three components. Someone doesn't know what you do, someone doesn't necessarily know that they need what you have, and then they also don't trust you. So how can we put this together? What a lot of you have given me inside of the onboarding form and things of that nature is all very, very helpful. But this is just that one key fact that I'm missing to dial in to the next level. Now, just to be fair, I'm sending this to all clients. So if you already have this dialed in with me, nothing needed on your end. You're fine. Now, for those who haven't, or this may be seeming like a new concept, I want to explain it just so you have a complete understanding and how this is a great takeaway just for business in general. So a lot of us right now have given me or I'm trying to leverage our backend offer, which is how in cold outreach or just in outreach in general refers to a high value, often higher priced product or service that is offered to a prospect after they've already engaged with or purchased a low friction initial offering, which is considered your front end. So in a similar fashion, the front end offer in outreach is a low risk, high value, and easy to understand proposition designed to initiate a relationship with the prospect, not to make an immediate high ticket sale. So once again, the difference is that most of my clients, as you know, is already a B2B marketing agency. If you're not, then that's totally fine. We also specialize in all type of B2B service-based businesses, but I'm just going to use agencies here as an example. One of my databases, which is Clutch.co, some of you may have came from Clutch.co that I've reached out to. If you search digital marketing, they have at least 120,000 companies. So I guarantee you, let's just say on the very, very low end, 25%. Okay. So 125,000 or 125,000 times 0.25 is about 30,000 companies. So let's say 30,000 of those companies is running cold outreach and none of them want to do anything for free. Um, they don't really stand out as unique. And someone who reads it just takes it as a bunch of industry fluff and marketing terms, right? when we reach out to these people, and most of you again are like local businesses, brands, or manufacturers, things like that, a lot of these people just care about one thing, right? And we cannot deliver to them what they need. We need to deliver to them what they want. Okay. So if you're targeting local businesses, roofers, HVAC, and guys like that, they just care about more jobs, right? I highly doubt they care about number one on Google or trying to rank higher or create blogs, right? And all those things. Maybe they get the fundamental understanding that it's somewhat important, right? But it's not what they really, really want. People don't come to you because they face these issues or problems, right? And from our lens, we look at it with a very rose-colored glasses type lens, right? So when we see some of these red flags, like for example, when I talk about what is a pain that somebody's really going through, and yeah, they're like spending, 40 hours a week really thinking about how they're not number one Google and they don't have the best visibility. I did a little research into that myself. And, I was talking to a couple of these home service guys and people that I know, and they really think about those things. So I was going off of campaigns that, not saying it's wrong by any means, but I was going off campaigns where it's like, oh, this is definitely their pain point. But when I called and talked to them, that wasn't the case. So how can we fix this? How can we make this dialed into where this scalability just ultimately allows you to once again immediately understand somebody who's never heard of you before, how we get them intrigued to say, "Hey, I want to learn more," because this is what it's all about. What do they want to learn more? And then how can you get them to trust you? Okay. So a couple of these different things, I'm going to show you some script examples. I'm going to show you some questions that I go off of and how we put that together. So basically like this. You don't have to do all five. If you can, the better. And once again, the idea of this is just to dial in how we communicate what you do to your cold traffic audience. I'm not saying that we're going to launch a campaign saying, like, hey, John, if we don't get you 30 meetings in 20 days or you don't pay, I'm not saying we're going to do that because by no means does that work anymore. And you're thinking, why? Why does that not work anymore? Well, I want you to take this for an understanding. If I launched a cold email campaign, right, targeting marketing agencies just like you guys, and I said, hey, John, I can get you 20 booked meetings in 30 days, guaranteed, or you do not pay. Would that be worth a check? And you would like to think logically, like everybody who gets that email is like, oh, duh, right? I want to get 20 meetings, where I don't pay. It seems legit. But people aren't going to do that. Why? It's because marketing has shifted a little bit. And so as I've been hopping into fulfillment the last two weeks or going on to 2 weeks now, so I realize this very glaringly obvious thing is that people aren't focusing on the mitigation of risk anymore. What they're focusing on is how can you, technically we do the outreach for you, but how can you, as your agency or business, increase the perceived likelihood of success? That's what it's about now. Because with that previous offer I just said, why wouldn't everybody say yes now? Well, it's because when people look at that, their perception that they will succeed from that is relatively low. So how do we fix this? Well, we fix this by understanding a couple things, making sure that the outcome from working with you is completely obvious and it's something that they actually care about. Okay. Is the risk clearly on you, not on them, or somewhat 50-50 on both sides? Okay. And this is where you can use that front door offer to get your foot in the door, right? So again, I'm saying your whole overall hierarchy of an offer doesn't need to be specifically like, oh, we guarantee you meetings or you don't pay or something like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that is there some type of fashion that once again we need to do these things to stand out from everybody else. Because guess what? The longer I keep trying to write scripts and think about things is that if you cannot cater to being unique, then you're not going to get results because guess what? You're going to be treated just like the 90% of cold outreach that gets ran, right? The people who say, oh, let's just offer them a free audit or let's just like vaguely describe and, when they get on the call, I'll explain it. People are not wanting to do that. They need to be able to understand the ROI in 10 seconds. I'm going to give you guys an example. So for the guys we've dialed this in, we have it so B2B marketing agencies will help you average 20 plus sales opportunities per month in 8 to 12 weeks with AI omnichannel outreach. That is my cold traffic offer. So when you come to an event, or let's say I meet you in person, you ask me, hey, Alexander, pleasure to meet you. What do you do for a living? I want to make it conversational. I want to make it so a fourth grader can understand. I've done vigorous testing with reading grade levels, and fourth grader and below are always up top. And that's just because, again, even though we're business owners, we're more like sophisticated people, we just want to be very simplistic. This minimalization nowadays, we want to understand that, okay, I need to easily be able to understand this because once again, you have a couple seconds, couple sentences, couple seconds to be able to understand instantly. So when you say that, like, hey, Alex, what do you do? Is it, yeah, we help agencies, maybe such as yourself, average 20 new sales opportunities in 8 to 12 weeks or you don't pay. Or not if you don't pay, but with AI omni-channel outreach, right? So if you're on the recipient side of that, you can understand, okay, well, you helped me get 20 meetings and it's going to take, 2 3 months to get there. And let's say I have a 25% closing with cold traffic, right? Equals to 5 meetings. And out of those 5 meetings, right? That is worth, I don't know if your package is 5K a month. That's $25,000. So now I can instantly pretty much understand, right? This is why when I took you guys through our sales onboarding process, when I allow you to book in one-on-one trainings whenever you want, it's easily to understand, okay, nowadays, people don't care about any of that, right? I mean, if you've gone through my own sales cycle, you know that when I originally started, for my clients who've been with me for going on 3 years now, for you guys, you remember how when I started the process, we were just like, oh yeah, this is what cold email is, this is how many inboxes we're going to buy you, this is what the strategy looks like, this is how we're going to get the leads, this is how we're going to do that. But the thing is, nobody really cares about that now. I've changed it to, this is, what are your goals? Okay, based on what you told me, we can or cannot help you. And if we can, this is exactly how we're going to help you hit those goals. And then we go into it. So, what I'm trying to say is that right now, people want to know if they can succeed, right? They don't necessarily care as much as how, but they want to know, can they succeed, right? This is where we want to build all these aspects out. So, I'll give you, these are a couple script examples. If you want to pause, go ahead and read through these. We want to get very dialed in, and this is how each one of them works. We hit them with a signal, so something that they're already investing in. So if you do SEO, let's say blogs, or let's say if you're helping e-commerce brands grow, let's say they're already running ads, right? That'd be one of them, and that they're spending a good amount. Now we want to find out what is a common failure or like insider golden nugget insight. So something that makes you say, okay, I'm the authority. I understand your space at the same level or greater of you. And what is the mechanism to get you there? And what is a tiny ask to get them interested, right? So what I'm going to give you is this document right here. And please go ahead, make a copy, okay? And you can paste it back into that document and we'll work on it together. Or I'll make a copy for you. Don't even worry about it. I'll make a copy for you and we'll go in and put it together. But what I just request you, whenever you get a chance, no rush, is to go through this document. Now, the idea is to understand these niches, a specific person, specific problem in a specific way. Now, once again, you get a multiple verticals. That's fine. But when you write down this offer sheet, we want to focus on one. Basically, take that on month's length because I've always done it where we've tested multiple different verticals and we've got some pretty cool tools. So if you don't exactly know where you think you know, either tell me to revisit the list that you've given us already of the current clients you have. And I'm going to run it through a brand new tool we got called Disco Light, which basically segments that entire list and it will show you like inside the vertical. So let's say say you help automotive companies. Okay, and you give me your list of clients. Well, what type of automotive repair shops, tire repair shops, manufacturers, right? Things of that nature. And sometimes the answer might not be what you think it is. It's actually really surprising. I had this guy, we ran it through. He's like, yeah, we help police stations. That's number one. And we tested the list through the tool, and it was actually hospitals. Basically, want to dial in on that very specific person, right? And get very specific on that exact problem that they're thinking of, right? And it needs to be from that aspect in their point of view, right? So I'm going to show you what I did for mine and your specific way is how you actually solve it. Now, the whole idea is this is what makes you unique. I've asked this question of 500 plus agencies. What specifically makes you unique compared to your competitors? And no one could really give me a proper answer, right? So they'll tell me like we care about our clients unlike others. Well, we have 50 years of agency experience, but no, I mean, everyone says that. So what makes you quite literally different from the company next to you that does exactly the same thing? Because in the prospect's mind, they're going to look at it and say, I don't really care about that you have 50 years experience. You know what I mean? So when it comes to us, right, we're the only agency that has it dialed in for email, LinkedIn, voice AI, and direct mail. We also are the only agency to develop this all in-house instead of white labeling those tools, which allow you to see 2 to 3 times higher reply rates, which then equal 2 to 3 times the positive reply. It's just about these couple factors here that I want to make sure we get very clear on. And then we could craft together this high level promise. Like I said, you don't necessarily need to have a guarantee, but ultimately the outcome and the timeline to get there. Because once again, if you help with SEO, right? I know it might be a little bit harder to track, but once again, like, why would I work with you? What can I get out of it? And again, I don't care about these little vanity marketing metrics. And quite frankly, I don't even understand that myself, right? That's why we like case studies and stuff. That's why I never suggest you guys, let's lead with increased, cost per or decreased cost per clicks or cost per lead and things because none of that really matters. What they care about is the money and what they're going to get back from working with you. So that's how we'll put together the high level promise. Now, we're also going to put together 3 to 5 pillars on how exactly we're going to achieve the success. Now, if you've gone through my sales training, you're already aware of my pillars because we talk about it in the pitch phase. That's the exact same thing. So if you've already dialed in that script from our training together, you can basically bring that over here. And again, the pillars are the steps that you're going to take to make sure that they achieve the high level promise. And again, I apologize for not getting into this sooner. I should have realized this before all that, but now that I've really cleaned the whiteboard and put it all out in front of me, I mean, this is just very clear on what is successful or not. Because if I say explain in full detail what you do and I get, a couple words or a sentence, and if somebody asks me, well, what do you do? And I give them that and they're not going to answer. Because guess what? It's just, I have what I'm working with. Now, once again, I'm not just saying this like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this is a very important piece of the pie that we're going to get dialed in here to make the rest of the process easier. Because again, people need to instantly know and understand that. And when they ask and we can explain it, then it just becomes much, much easier. And again, we want to keep it simple. I think what's the saying? Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. We want to make sure that it's simple, it's easily digestible and understandable, and we have the meat. We have what actually matters to them. So these 3 to 5 pillars are going to be the steps you're going to take to get there. And then your fulfillment and delivery is exactly what they're going to get. And basically those quick wins off the bat. I mean, you want to think about it like a fitness trainer, for example. They say, hey, we could get you, buff and get you abs in 12 weeks or something like that with one-on-one coaching and things like that. But abs take a while, right? Same thing with SEO. You guys know. I keep using SEO as an example, but yeah, I know sometimes it takes 3 to 6 months to get there. So how do you prevent this churn and burn type feel? Because people are going to want it off the bat. So what are those quick wins you can create along the way? And then the pricing for that. And yes, I get it. I know everything's bespoke and custom. So just ballpark it based on those again, because you need that fundamental understanding, right? So for example, for me, I built it out here, like established B2B marketing agencies doing at least 40K a month, ideally a unique offer in influencer marketing, video production, or growth space. Now, their problem is they struggle from word of mouth and referral only, have tried lead gen agencies in the past but couldn't get consistent success, and are looking to take their business to the next level and get more sales opportunities, but not entirely sure how without wasting money. So, our exact solution here is by leveraging our omni-channel solution. You have the ability to connect ICP through all these different channels in one unified system. So, the high level promise says that you achieve these 20 new sales opportunities. Again, when I originally wrote mine out, I didn't have a guarantee. And you don't need to use it all the time, It's always good to have it in the back pocket as I'm continuing to build mine out still. I'll be completely frank with that. But for you guys, I want you to be on the same page as well, where like obviously you can have one. That's what we do for ads. Like I created one for ads, but you have to check all these different boxes to make sure. And I'm not like bait and switching people because it's just valid, It can be guaranteed, but you have to have these things dialed in beforehand. Or you have to be on top of these things when the ball rises, just so we're all aligned. Now, for the pillars, I opted with 4 pillars. So you can see these aren't explaining my process, but more or less like, what do we need to do with you to get you to where you want to be? So instead of guessing your ICP, this is what we'll narrow it down to. 90% of the market, again, look, I wrote this same thing here. Doesn't care about what you do or an in-depth presentation. They want to know how to get from A to Z. What's your mechanism? And then a fulfillment and delivery, this is what they get off rip and those quick wins look like. And then the pricing of it, right? So inside of here, if you're still confused and you want to learn more, click this hyperlink. What this hyperlink will do for you is it will go over how to design a compelling and scalable offer. Because once again, we're doing cold email. It's at scale and it's a lead generation channel. So we need to have a lead generation offer. And as much as I can create this for you, this isn't just beyond what I need it for, right? This is something that's going to be instilled into your business. And for you to grow and take it to the next level properly with the right resources, here's how we're going to do so. So this is not only something that I'm going to use, but then you're going to use and pass it around because this is going to be a marketing concept. And as your growth partner here, for me, again, it's not about the meetings. It's about making sure that we're talking consistently to the right people who are aware of what you can do and how we are going to be able to push that. And not just really about like what is it you actually do, but more about what actually you could do for them. So when you say to me that like, hey, we could run ads and like grow your business and, you don't have to rely on other, internal teams and training them and all that, is like, it doesn't really mean anything. So how do we put that in a fashion where it gets to go from that pain, as I mentioned, all the way to where they want to be with you? And please, I highly, highly suggest to go through this document as it covers all those benchmarks. And this is where a lot of my current clients here have been able to up prices, have been able to close easier. And when you have this in conjunction with my sales script that I've given you guys, they work hand in hand off of each other, and it makes it extremely clear. So I know this was a little bit long. I'll write down everything you guys need, but ultimately, this is just something that I would love to have as a great firepower resource to make this successful. All right, and as successful as possible. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Please let me know.